Hi, I'm Katie and welcome to another bookish adventure. So I can't believe it because I feel like I should have made this video already, but we're going to be talking about my September reads and October TBR. Again, September feels like a million miles away. When I was picking up these books, I was thinking, I read these ages ago. Yeah, September really felt like a long time ago. So I'm going to do my best to try and keep these short because both of these books I've talked about a lot in my reading vlogs and I have made book reviews for them. The first is The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw. I really love this book. Probably not the best choice whilst on holiday sat by a pool and near the sea. However, life choices aside, a really good read. I gave The Wicked Deep 4 stars. It was really good, really different. It's a great read for autumn or spring. It's kind of like a nice transitional book. It's kind of witchy, kind of magical, but it's very grounded, very real, very similar to The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black in the sense of that what happens in the town is very much a real thing. It becomes a tourist trap. The town of Sparrow 200 years ago drowned 3 sisters for being accused of witches, and now 200 years later said 3 witches come back, inhabit the bodies of local girls, and then each kill a boy. Yeah, it sounds like a really pleasant town to go and visit, and the story takes place right before the swan season is about to start. You know, it becomes one of these things where suspicion is rife, anyone is a target, and it just follows the main character Penny as, you know, they all have to endure this horrendous season which they all kind of just accept. There aren't loads of twists or turns or anything. There was a kind of obvious plot which I kind of then second guessed because of something that got mentioned, but then it still didn't ruin anything because I had guessed said plot. I feel like I'm dressed really overly casually, but I'm not. I feel kind of smart. I have to go out later. It was a really good book and I would recommend it if you are looking for something sort of magical and witchy but not kind of, you know, real full-blown witchy. It's just a really nice different kind of vibe. But for all my thoughts you can check out my reading review. So next up, Queen of Shadows. So I picked this book up straight after I finished The Wicked Deep whilst on holiday and probably got about halfway through, which was very nice. I gave this book 5 stars out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed myself whilst reading this. Definitely had a few ups and downs with this book to start with. There is, as always, I swear to God, just something wrong with when she starts sort of writing from the beginning. Characters seem to have taken a back step. Plots are kind of going sideways to how I thought they were going. However, this book was jam-packed. Things got corrected. There are definitely 3 stages to this book, which is the rescue attempt of Elian's cousin, at last finally seeing the King of Assassins again, and then the proper kind of showdown where she's coming face to face with the king and Dorian and all hell is gonna break loose. There's definitely 3 parts to the stories and I felt the character arcs kind of took place in like a 2-parter. It's weird, it's a book of 3 parts, yeah, and 2 at the same time. I am now at a point where I'm very scared going forward. I'm trying not to get attached to anyone. Difficult because I'm so in love with Kale. It's very hard, but I'm like, people will die, do not get attached, but I'm already so much loving characters and I'm kind of thinking I want to see this to happen, I want this to happen. It is insane how worlds apart the book now is from the first book. So many different points of view, so many plots kind of coming together and happening and seeing how things are related and seeing, you know, the king's real agenda. You know, you're seeing that from, holy shit, my tea is hot, and you're seeing that from the witch's perspective. It's just so much is happening. In one way, I'm kind of annoyed that I waited to read these. However, at the same time, I love that I can just pick up these, like this series, just one after the other. I don't have to wait. Again, for my full thoughts, you can check out my review on this. I do have a spoiler-free section that leads into a spoiler section for those of you who haven't read it like I hadn't yet. Don't worry, my review also includes you too. So, kind of going into my October TBR / still reads for September as I finished so early, I read and finished Bleeding Violet by Dia Reid. This still... Oh, this is really hard because part of me was like 4.5. Yeah, part of me was like, I still want to keep its 5-star rating because I read this back in like 2012 or 14 or something. I think maybe the book got released in 2012 and I read it 2 years after that. So I started this towards the end of September and I literally only finished it like 2 days ago. I wanted to reread this because these books are actually insane. There is no way to really kind of, yeah, there's no real way to really describe them. If you watch my reading vlogs from the Thursday that's just gone, it was all about me reading that book and sort of re-experiencing it. There are 2 books in the series, Bleeding Violet and Slice of Cherry. I also want to read this October. So the reason I read Bleeding Violet first as opposed to this one, which was written first, Bleeding Violet takes place from the point of view of someone who comes to the town. She is a transie, she is an outsider, whereas Slice of Cherry takes place with characters who were born and raised in this town, so everything that happens is very normal, and I just feel like it works better reading it the other way around. I think it's a very difficult one because the town in itself is insane, it is bonkers, it is doors leading to God knows what place, monsters lurk around every corner, death is coming for you basically, it's just another day. But our main character Hannah, she has mental health issues, so in the real world she is the fun and interesting thing, but here, as her mother says, you ain't anything special. You could be Hannibal Lecter and no one would bat an eyelid because there's something far scarier waiting for you in the park. And so it's very interesting because you sort of watch her adjust to starting life there and starting school there, and no one really like cares about her because they're just like, oh okay, like whatever, like no one bats an eyelid that she's crazy, like no one really gives a shit. What is quite nice is that I don't want to say it looks at mental health in a positive way because the book isn't at all about mental health. She, like the character, this is like she has her own issues, but it is looked at in a very positive way because Hannah doesn't care what anyone thinks. She doesn't care if these people think she's crazy. She's like, well, whatever, I don't care, which is quite nice because the book is weird enough and there's so much happening that you then don't have a subplot of her trying to manage with like herself, you know. Her craziness works so well with the town. So Slice of Cherry is from the point of view of two sisters who are daughters of a serial killer and they themselves kill people. Yeah, these books are weird and creepy, and you can see why maybe I wanted to pick the other one because, you know, you get to be introduced to the town like Hannah is, whereas this one, although I feel like we experience less of the craziness, if I remember rightly, which I probably don't, I feel like the town seems more nuts in that book because she's so desperate to prove that she can survive and that she can stay in this town with her mum, that I feel like maybe we're exposed to the weirdness of the town more, whereas there just feels like there's general weirdness in this book. I don't know, we'll see. When I read Slice of Cherry, we'll see. So the final book that I want to read this October, which I technically have already started, is The Shining by Stephen King. Oh my god, this is my first Stephen King and horror book. I say that, although I did read Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendra Blake, so I don't know if that counts as a horror. If it doesn't, then this is my first horror. I was basically bullied into this by a colleague at work. She absolutely loves Stephen King, and yeah. I don't do horror, it's not something I'm interested in to watch or to read, but it's kind of one to tick off the bucket list. I had always considered reading his Dark Tower series because it's more fantasy based, but yeah, apparently we're going in with The Shining first. I don't know whether I will read the sequel, Doctor Sleep. I guess because I've never ever planned to read a Stephen King, it has never crossed my mind that I would now need to read the sequel. Maybe if I do, maybe I'll read it next year. It was not a book I was fussed about reading. Anytime now people see me at work, Sam or Anna both see me reading it, and I mean Sam keeps saying it anyway, make sure you read Doctor Sleep straight afterwards, and I'm like, I don't even want to read this. So I'm semi-prepared, but not really. But yeah, I will be reading The Shining at the safety of what? In the daylight, where it is safe, where nothing can hurt me. So those are my reads. I am really looking forward actually to my October reads. It's not very often that I do sort of like a theme for October, as I don't really read horror books. Maybe I should just try and read more like paranormal or like supernatural style books maybe, or as opposed to I read a lot of fantasy. But yes, check out my previous vlogs and reviews for all my thoughts on the other two books. I didn't want to go too in depth with them because I've talked about them quite a lot, and if you are a regular subscriber and a viewer, I don't want to bore you to tears. So that is me done. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to smash that like button and show me your thumbs. Your support means the world to me. And of course, comment below, what are you reading this October? Have you read The Shining? Am I in for a good ride, or will I need to change my pants? And if you are new, hi, hello, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. So many more videos to come and loads for you to catch up on. Have a great Monday, and I will see you on Thursday with another reading vlog, which will be all about this. It will be my experience reading this. I'm kind of excited, kind of nervous. Bye.